Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Trap on the Boom Bust channel, Bears podcast by a Bears fan. I'm your host Terry, and today talking about our loss to the Lions, week 15, 16, I don't know what it is, but it doesn't really matter. I didn't even want to do this because I don't know what else to say, but here we are. I really don't know, man. What is there to say? So we lost to the Lions. It is what it is. I guess we got to talk about the future. That's what losing teams do. And it's sad. It's sad. I'm going to give a little bit of a trip down memory lane, and we'll talk a little bit about the future, and then we're going to get out of here because there's not a lot to say. Look, I was 100% someone that was fully out in front talking about how the Bears should be able to win 10 games, get to the playoffs, 100%. And it probably would have been the professional thing for me to get all the numbers together. But, even though I'm a data person, weirdly enough with football, I'm not a super numbers guy. But also, it's just been a time. So yes, we celebrating, we drinking, celebrating, I don't know about that, but we coping, we having a good time. So I'm not in a state to get all the numbers to you, but I cover this every week, so I'm willing to say that for sure the games have been somewhat close. Obviously, there's a number of games where we could say it could have went one way or the other. And that starts with the Commanders, with the Hail Mary and all this narratives and these discussions. And I get it. Like, things pile up, so it's hard to dismiss it as a narrative or just a talking point when we see everything pile up. So I'll give you that. But at the end of the day, in terms of the team and the talent and how we competed, it is what it is. It's all there on film. So were there teams that maybe were they something different than what I thought? You could throw the Commanders in there. And again, I don't have the schedule pulled up, and I don't really want to pull it up and do all that. Because at the end of the day, I do think for the most part, it was on par with what I thought in terms of the teams that we were facing, when we were facing them and all that. I don't think the schedule at all was the issue. The schedule for me was a big part of why I thought we would be performing. And then on top of that, so talking about the roster, which I probably should have started with, you bring in Keenan Allen and Rome Odunze. You got DJ Moore. We know you can force the ball to him in certain ways. He can do things. Keenan Allen, route running extraordinaire. I forgot what the accolade was, but he had a big number last year. So, okay, you bring him in. Then you bring in Odunze. And you already got Komet, and there's so many pass weapons. You're like, okay, our passing game is going to be on a level we never saw before. Offensive line, you bring in one new replacement. Last year, again, honestly, for a long time, haven't been a great pass blocking group, but run blocking, we were great. And so you think, okay, DeAndre Swift, not a fan of that signing, but we bring him in as a feature back. Okay, our ability to run the ball and then add a new playmaking dimension off of that with all these receivers is going to be great. Caleb's going to have the ability to distribute, and the defense was surging up. It's going to be great. I honestly do not backtrack whatsoever on the offseason outlook. Personally, I don't backtrack on stuff, but even with Caleb, knowing now that he isn't at the level that I thought he would be, I still would never have imagined that he would have been at a level where it was completely debilitative to our offense. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a lot of discussion, but you look at it, and again, the defense not different than what you thought. We didn't get a pass rusher, not that there was a great one in this draft. We didn't get anything to add to the D-line. So Montez Sweat gives you a little bit. We end up trading for Taylor, who gives you a bit of a fastball, but Sweat is kind of the pass rush guy. The rest of it is, we kind of wait and see. So without a blitz stunt game, it's going to be on Montez Sweat. The secondary can hold up really well top down, but vertically, not necessarily our strong suit. And then offensively, again, you look at last year, the previous years, and some people say Justin Fields. Look, Caleb can run, but even outside of that, Justin Fields wasn't the main thing. So I felt like with Herbert, with Rocho, you bring in Swift, even adding another mouth, we can still run the ball. We did not run the ball well. We did not run the ball often. And that got us into passing situations. And our Shelton, huge problem. And a run-in pass game. Injuries and all that. But Caleb just held the ball too long. And he was not reading defenses the way we thought he might be. So at the end of the day, just like pass rush and coverage matters in tandem, the pass protection and the quarterback reads matter in tandem. Caleb is reading at a very low level, which requires a high pass protection level to be effective. That is not what we got, and so we were not effective. And that's kind of what it was. And so we fast forward to today, and I think Caleb has learned a lot, but he's addicted to throwing on the run. He's addicted to extending plays, not killing a play. And it's just the pendulum. Like, you feel like at his peak, Aaron Rodgers was a happy medium. And as I said before, he is the blueprint for a lot of these quarterbacks. And unfortunately, we swung the other way so far where quarterbacks allow them to extend every single play, and they're not making smart decisions. They're not killing a play early. They're not saving the sack. They're not doing anything like that. They're throwing interceptions and they're getting sacked at a higher rate, and Caleb is a product of that. Now, he doesn't want to throw interceptions and he's very risk adverse, which is fine. But at the same time, that leads to a lot of sacks, which gets us into trouble. You hear coaches talk about complementary football, and that's what you talk about. You absolutely, it's not just offense and defense and special teams, but it's offense within offense. You got to be able to run the ball and pass the ball in a way that is in sync. So if you are continuing to get sacked, put the ball behind the sticks, you can't run the ball effectively. And so all that is an issue. And that's just kind of where we are. So in terms of going forward, and I've said this before, like, I don't have a ton to say because I'm not necessarily into judging coaches like that. But I will say, Vrabel, I said last year, I was a big fan of. And now that's become a popular name. So with internet culture, of course, he gets attacked. So we got a group that hates Vrabel and like, what are you talking about? And then a group that loves him. I said to him last year, and I said before, I realize a lot about media and all these narratives that play a part into it. Because the owners get to play a part. Unfortunately, that's the truth. If it wasn't for the owners, the media and all this stuff probably wouldn't be as big, but the owners react off that. And I talked about the Jets article. You go read that. It's no other evidence more than that. Owners react off what the media is saying, and so that does impact decisions. So all that to say that for me, going forward, people will think about all those different things, but for me, Vrabel is he's a head coach that's actually a head coach of the program. No, not unsimilar to Dion, where he never gets discredited for anything, because recruiting is part of college football, so I get that. Vrabel doesn't have that plus to say, but at the same time, I just feel like, okay, Vrabel can be in charge of the operation, the structure, and then you let other guys do the units. And as I said before, and people might hate it, it's not a function of one person. People want to blame one person, blame the person in charge of a unit. It's never that. And so as a head coach, it's great because, look, at the end of the day, you got Brandon Staley. He was technically a defensive coordinator, and defense wasn't good. You got to go. If you bring in Ben Johnson and the defense is great and the offense is terrible, he's not going to get credit. He's got to go. So those narratives matter, and I understand that. But at the end of the day, I just feel like you bring in a head coach who is going to handle the whole operation and not really get bogged down by the different units' performance. I think has the attitude to really lead the team. And I'm probably not selling it the best, but that's kind of how I feel. And so outside of that, I go back to Ben Johnson and everybody, and I just ask people to give me a reason. No one has done it. No one anywhere has done it. Give me a good reason for Ben Johnson. No one has done it as a head coach. Because again, people want to talk about glorified quarterback coaches, glorified offensive coordinators. No, give me a case as a head coach, and nobody's done it. So anyway, I'm going to end it there. That's it for me. Go down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Share it around, get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you for listening.